Hard Rock Live at the fabulous Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in beautiful Hollywood, Florida is the setting for a night of outstanding world-class professional boxing. Acquainty Sports proudly presents Fight Night Boxing, Dominican Domination 2. Hello everyone, I'm Bob Alexander. The Dominican Republic is well known for putting out outstanding classes of professional athletes in baseball, but tonight you're going to see a whole new class of outstanding athletes in the professional boxing ring. Pleasure to be joined this evening by my friend, longtime fight commentator and Emmy Award winner, Jay Adams. Jay, great to be with you.
Oh, thanks, Bob. It's going to be a great night of boxing. And you know, Acquainty Sports Fight Night Boxing has gone on record as saying that they are one of the best promotions in the world. And tonight they have proven it. They have handpicked some of the best fighters from the Dominican Republic. 4 undefeated fighters on the card tonight. It is going to be fireworks.
And if that wasn't enough, we have hard-punching light heavyweight sensation Humberto Savigny. He's going to be taking on a 3-time world title challenger in Richard the Destroyer Hall.
Yeah, these are my favorite kinds of fights. Fights with bad blood. At the weigh-ins, no one's sure who started the trash talking, but the smack was being laid down. At one point, Hall was getting in Savigny's face. Savigny didn't like it. Savigny actually started making this type of a signal. And I asked Savigny later what he was saying to Hall, and he said, "It's going to be a short night for you. You're going to pay for what you said." I couldn't tell what Hall said, but they had to drag Hall off. As soon as Savigny started making this sign, they had to drag Hall off. So bad blood. This one could be fight of the night.
It's going to be an outstanding night of professional boxing as Acquainty Sports presents Fight Night Boxing, Dominican Domination 2. It's time to head to the ring for action. Let's send it up to ring announcer Mike Adams.
The action continues here at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino here in beautiful Hollywood, Florida. Our next bout of the evening will be for the WBA Feda Latin title. 10 asaltos en el peso semi-pesado. This will be 10 rounds in the light heavyweight division. Los jueces por este combate son Fred Flutie, Michael Pernick, and John Rupert. El árbitro por esta pelea, the referee in charge of all the action, Frank Santori Jr. And now introducing first, en la esquina azul, pesando 173.5 libras. In the blue corner, weighed in 173.5 pounds. Su récord profesional, 30 victorias, 9 derrotas y 28 ganadas por knockout. The former world champion, originally from Kingston, Jamaica, and now calling West Palm Beach, Florida, his home. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard the Destroyer Hall. En la esquina roja, pensando 173.5 libras, weighed in at 173.5 pounds. Su récord profesional, 9 victorias, 1 derrota y 6 ganadas por knockout. 9 wins, 1 loss, and 6 by way of knockout. From Miami, Florida, USA, originally from Cuba, Humberto Savigny. Frank Santori Jr. with instruction.
Here we go. All right, guys. Going over everything in the dress room. All right, your trunks are supposed to be, just keep your blows on top or above, all right? If I say break, break. I don't have to rest with you guys, all right? Questions? Good luck, guys.
Humberto Savigny and Richard Hall set for 10 rounds. Again, this is for the Latino title. You look at the tail of the tape, Richard Hall with a 3-inch advantage in the height, both identical when it comes to the weight, but the reach, a big advantage for Savigny. 7 inches of reach, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at the height differential that Savigny has that kind of reach. Big height usually gets the reach, but not in this case. Hall, 40 years old. Is he on the back half of the career? We're going to see.
We are set 10 rounds. Again, this is a WBA Fed Latino Championship bout. Umberto Savigny and Richard the Destroyer Hall. Savigny wearing the red trunks with the white trim. Richard Hall, the gold-colored trunks, sided with the colors of Jamaica. Red, gold, and green.
And remember, Bob, these guys do not like each other. They had a very tense weigh-in. There was a lot of smack talk. Hall was saying some stuff to Savigny and said, it's going to be a short night for you.
It may be a short night for somebody because both of these young men have come out swinging. Not a lot of defense to be seen between the two. Richard Hall determined to stand right in there with the stronger Savigny. He looks like he doesn't care whether Savigny has all kinds of knockouts in his arsenal.
Savigny with a 486 and
big left hand there, Jay. Savigny trying to impose his will early, but look at Richard Hall standing right in there with him.
Hall is a gamer, tough guy. Like you said, he's been in 3 world championships, holds 2 interim titles in the WBO. He said, I'm coming, I'm a wolf, I want my meat.
Savigny with the short, straight punches, trying to take control early here. He's landed frequently on Richard Hall, but Hall just stands right in there, not trying to box at all.
Hall told us this is the only place I get to fight and not go to jail. 3 title fights for Hall. He's not intimidated being in there with the 9-1 Umberto Savigny.
Well, you talk about not being intimidated. At 19, when he first turned amateur, he fought the legendary champion Glenn Johnson in his 4th amateur bout. And in his 5th amateur bout, guess who? Antonio Tarver was the opponent.
Wow.
So you talk about learning about intimidation early on. Richard Hall has seen it all.
Yeah, there's nothing after that that's going to shake you. Nothing. Dedicating this fight to his son, Richard Jr.
Big uppercut. Big uppercut, and Hall is hurt. Rubbery legged against the ropes. And here goes Umberto Savigny trying to close the show. He lets both hands go. Hall seriously hurt on the ropes. He needs to tie up as he's doing right now. Rubbery leg, Jay.
Plenty of time to go. 40 seconds for Savigny to try to finish off Hall. Hall is still rubbery, still got cobwebs. He should be getting in there and trying to tie up Savigny.
But Umberto Savigny doing the smart thing here. He's not burning himself out. He's picking his shots, looking for the right openings. Hall trying to fight back gamely, but doesn't seem to have a whole lot on his punches right now.
Yeah, Savigny doing a great job of planting too, but he does, I've seen a little bit of awkwardness there with Savigny. I'm not sure what it is. He's kind of stumbling a little bit. He says his footing is not sure.
Savigny had Richard Hall in desperate trouble, but it looks like Hall is going to fight his way out and make it through this first round. There's the end of a strong first round for Umberto Savigny. Richard Hall was in some serious jeopardy at one point in that round, but he did come back and managed to stay on his feet. You can see the crowd appreciating the action here at Hard Rock Live at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. All right, let's take a look at the action where Savigny had Hall in serious trouble.
Well, here you can see Savigny planting, and that's what he does so well. He sets up with the left, and he gets that straight right in. And despite the good counterfighting of Hall, that long reach of Savigny is what did the damage. He was able to hurt him from outside, and that was the punch that wobbled the legs of Richard Hall. That right uppercut absolutely tagged Hall. Hall doing a good job of surviving the round.
There you see a good look at Richard Hall trying to get his legs back as we move into round 2, scheduled for 10. Light heavyweight action, Umberto Savigny and Richard the Destroyer Hall.
Savigny says he has 2 hands like me, but mine are better. I fear no man.
Now Frank Santori, I believe, looking to get some water wiped up in the corner of Savigny. They put that water all over the fighters in between rounds, and if you don't get it wiped up, it's very easy for one of the fighters when he's moving back to slip and fall and perhaps get himself an injury. So referee Frank Santori Jr. quick to spot that, get it cleaned up. Now we're back to action.
Yeah, Herman's corner over there been very busy tonight with a lot of fighters. They're running in and out of the ring. You can expect a little bit of spillage.
Savigny, it seems Jay, when he throws that right in, he kind of jumps with it. He doesn't firmly plant his feet. It seems like he's trying to bounce a little bit too much on his toes when he lets his punches go.
Yeah, that was a little bit of that awkwardness that I pointed out in the previous round. It was almost like a stumbly approach into Hall, and I'm not sure if he's just trying to get his footing, trying to get a feel, trying to set his timing up. But he did look a little bit awkward in a couple of the exchanges. Powerful, though.
Look at the builds of these two young men. You got the long and lanky Richard Hall, and Savigny. He just looks like a tank, very squat, almost like a linebacker.
Power, the power that's generated from that 175-pound frame. He's a super middleweight, but he's generating power like a fighter in a much higher weight division. He's just got real strength.
I'm impressed a little bit with Savigny here in that he's gone back to the basics. He's gone back to boxing. He's popping the jab from the outside, then come across with that straight right hand, not trying to go for the quick knockout. All these Dominican fighters that we've seen tonight, boxing as well as punching. That's encouraging to see.
That was how Savigny criticized himself. When he gave himself his own self-criticism, he said, if there's anything I have to work on, I've got to come out more patiently, not come out so hard. I want to learn to be a better boxer, learn to pick my shots, learn to be very strategic out there and listen to my corner.
Savigny, after a great amateur career with Team Cuba, over 490 amateur bouts, so he's certainly learned his craft. Won his first two bouts in 2009. Then he was upset by Harvey Jolly from Detroit. Interestingly enough, Harvey Jolly got a win in Florida over the then unbeaten cruiserweight Nick Iannuzzi. So not a real terrible thing, I guess, to lose to a guy like Harvey Jolly, but he's won 6 in a row. And in January, scored a win over unbeaten prospect Quinton Rankin. His last fight in March, a second-round technical knockout over Frank Paines in Fort Lauderdale.
The Cuban living in Miami is an absolute star walking around. Everybody knows who he is. Been fighting since he was 8 years old.
You see Richard Hall banging his own jaw there with a couple of shots. Don't you think he takes enough punches from Savigny? He's got to beat himself up.
Just ate that nasty left. Absolutely twisted his head around, and there you see Hall trying to stare down Savigny, get in his head, but he's going to have to do a lot more than staring down Savigny at the end of the round. He's got to make some adjustments here. Here you can see just this. This is where he doesn't want to be, Bob. He doesn't want to be at the end of that punch. Get inside, make it ugly, or get out of there. But right at the end of that punch, and that is where he needs to make his adjustments in between rounds 2 and 3.
You see those short, straight punches landing toward the end of that round by Humberto Savigny. Here we go with round number 3, scheduled for 10. This is a title bout, the WBA Fed Latino title. Humberto Savigny trying to move his record to 10-1. He's got 6 knockouts coming in. Richard Hall, 30-9 with 28 wins by knockout. So both young men showing they can get the job done when it comes to the knockout punch.
And they got power, and don't look past Hall. I mean, this is a guy who's held 2 interim titles in a very prestigious organization. This is a guy who loves to fight for a living, and he is absolutely a guy who can upset someone like Savigny. Savigny cannot get sloppy in there. He can't get lazy. And as he said at the beginning of the fight, he's got to pace himself. See that nice left there by Hall?
Nice left hook, short, compact, and right on the button for Savigny. There's a big right hand back.
And these are the dangers of being in the ring. You cannot get greedy. You got to take what you get in there. Pick your shots, get in and get out. You get greedy, you're going to leave an opening.
Richard Hall, such an experienced fighter in there, fighting for his first world title back in 2000 against the then great Roy Jones Jr. Savigny trying to open up here. He thinks he's got Hall in trouble, and he just might. Hall moving backwards. His punches look a little bit off the mark, but now he comes back with the left hand. Savigny might be in just a little bit of a harm's way here. Richard Hall showing the heart of a champion, takes a big right hand from Savigny. Both young men getting tagged in this 3rd round.
Richard Hall tags Savigny with 3 left jabs and then a left hook coming in. And you're right, Savigny might have been wobbled. That was a great exchange by both fighters. I'm very impressed with Hall. His counterfighting after getting tagged is very impressive.
And you talk about the experience factor for Hall and the heart that he's got. When he fought Roy Jones Jr. back in 2000, He fought that fight with chicken pox, believe it or not. Most of us don't even want to get out of bed when we have chicken pox. He goes in there and goes 11 rounds with the then pound-for-pound best fighter in boxing. So you know that Richard Hall's got heart. You know he's got a good chin. And he is certainly giving Humberto Savin all he can handle in there.
Oh, beautiful
Big left hand.
Wow.
Left hand, and Savigny is down. No, they're going to call it a slip.
I don't know, though. He is very wobbly on his feet.
Well, he took a great shot that time, Jay. I tell you what, I don't know how hurt he was, but he did take a punch. And now Richard Hall getting a warning from Frank Santori Jr. for hitting behind the head and cuffing.
Well, Hall certainly can't afford to have a point taken away here. He's dug himself a little bit of a hole here, but what a great round for Hall.
Good body punching by Richard Hall. Lefts and rights to the body. He exchanges with Savigny, and he's standing right there. Action fast and furious as we wind down to the end of the round, and you can hear the crowd here at Hard Rock Live going crazy in appreciation. Great round between these two young men. Here we go. You see Humberto Savigny moving back for one of the few times tonight. He lands the initial punch, but then you see Hall coming right back.
Good job of planting there by Savigny, catching Hall coming in. But this is when Hall started turning on the gas, and he said, wait a minute, I got a little something for you too. And this is turning into a fight.
Well, Humberto Savigny may win this fight eventually. He may win it by knockout, but he certainly knows that he has been in a tough fight.
Keep a close eye on Savigny too, because there's just been a couple of indications of wobbliness, and I'm not sure if that's just a footing issue. I mean, clearly he got tagged in the back of the head. That didn't help. But boy, a good job here of Hall getting himself back into this. Savigny trying to put him away. Ended up being a much tougher situation and a much tougher chore than Savigny might have initially believed.
Round 4 scheduled for 10 between Humberto Savigny and Richard Hall. Savigny, red trunks, white trim. Hall wearing the gold trunks with the flag of Jamaica adorning. Richard Hall missing with a couple of big looping punches there. Nice little counter right hand by Savigny that time. You expect Savigny would be taking the lead here, but he's actually doing a nice job of counter punching in this round.
You know, if it works, sometimes you make a change up. You know, if you fight, if your opponent's starting to, ate that right coming in. Boy, I tell you what, Hall's got a great chin.
He does. He takes punches extremely well. He's been in there with some of the bigger bangers in the light heavyweight division. Mentioned, of course, Roy Jones Jr., 2 fights against the then great Darius Mikulczewski, both overseas in Germany. Fought Glenn Johnson right here at Hard Rock Live back in 2006. I don't know if Glenn Johnson's ever going to get old. He's about 59 years old, and he's still in there fighting for world titles.
Just astounding.
He's amazing.
You were talking earlier about Hall fighting with chicken pox. You know, you're saying you wouldn't even want to get out of bed. And I wouldn't want to get out of bed if I knew I was going to have to fight Roy Jones Jr.
Or either one of these two. I'll tell you what, they're putting on a good show here for this crowd here at Hard Rock Live. We are down to just over a minute to go in the 4th round. Pace is slow just a little bit. More boxing in this round by both men, although here comes Hall trying to launch the offensive. He had Savigny on the ropes and did land one left hook.
Yeah, this is really a testimony to the matchmaking here at Acquainty Sports Fight Night Boxing. You know, when you're talking about Henry Revolta, Shannon the Cannon Briggs, of course, Gary Jonas, the whole team here putting on a great event. And this is no cakewalk for Savigny, and they knew it wouldn't be. They knew Hall would be his most serious test to date.
Yeah, Florida Boxing Hall of Famer Johnny Boz doing the matchmaking for this card, and he has done an outstanding job. All of these guys on the Acquainty Sports team are getting tests tonight, including Humberto Savigny. Richard Hall standing in the middle of the ring, looking to trade with Savigny. Comes a little bit short on that straight left hand. Neither guy throwing those wide angle punches in this round. It's been a lot of short, straight jabs, short, straight left leads.
You got Richard Hall climbing his way back into this fight a little bit. A couple of close rounds in 3 and 4. They could have gone either way. I'm giving him 10-10 both in the 3rd and 4th round. Now obviously he's got a big hole. I got a 10-8 round in the 1st round for Savigny, 10-9 in the 2nd round. So still Savigny's fight to lose, Savigny's going to have to, the wheels are going to have to really come off the bike for him to lose this. But if there's anyone who could take those wheels off, Richard Hall would like to be the guy. And this guy has zero quit in him. This kid has the heart of a lion.
Well, he's a young man that has a lot of heart, as you mentioned. He was inspired by watching Leonard and Hagler back in 1986. He said he wanted to box. He went and told his grandma, who was taking care of him at the time. She said, "You're crazy to be a boxer." He said, "Well, then I'm crazy, Grandma. I want to get in there and fight." And he actually went down and knocked down a tree in the backyard to show Grandma just how much he wanted to be a boxer.
The Destroyer.
I don't know if Humberto Savigny is tougher to knock down than a tree, but we're going to find out here as we move into the mid-rounds of this fight. Round 5 scheduled for 10 for the WBA Fed Latino Championship. It's Humberto Savigny in the red trunks, Richard the Destroyer Hall in the gold.
Hard to imagine this fight making its way into the 8th, 9th, and 10th round. These guys have given everything they have, but you know, they both have the heart to do it, that's for sure.
Now, there was a combination there where Humberto Savigny landed a jab, then he landed a straight right hand, but as he was throwing the right hand, he kind of lifts his back foot and comes off the canvas a little bit. That's a little bit unusual, Jay.
Yeah, that's that awkwardness we were talking about earlier, and I'm not sure if it's you know, by design, if it's, you know, he thinks it gives himself more power. Clearly, he's been doing it pretty consistently.
There's a nice hook to the side of the head by Savigny. Letting his hands go a little bit more on the inside. Now he comes across with the left hook and right hand combination. But look at Richard Hall come right back, showing that heart and determination that we keep talking about.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that Richard Hall has done. Richard Hall has made sure that Savigny's prediction of it being a very short fight would not come true. You know, Hall knew that he could compete with Savigny. He knew it in his heart, and he was here to prove it tonight. And regardless of the outcome of this match, you got to give props to Hall for, you know, sitting in there and competing with such a warrior like Savigny.
Straight left hand, and he's got Savigny in a little bit of trouble. Richard Hall landing the straight shot. Savigny's legs just a little bit rubbery. Another left hand. Savigny moving back. Richard Hall trying to get a big, huge upset win here. He's got Savigny in trouble. Savigny, rubbery legged. Hall working on the inside. Savigny desperately trying to tie up here.
Not a lot of people picked Hall to win this fight. They really picked Hall as the stepping stone for Savigny to go to 10-1. But, you know, Hall never had that in his mind.
Look at that determination. The look on the face of Richard Hall as he lands another big left hand.
Hall is gaining momentum. He's gaining heart with every punch that lands.
Savigny taking the right hook, now takes another left hand. Savigny in a place where he hasn't been since he lost his 3rd fight to Harvey Jolly. Now losing his balance, referee Frank Santori getting in there quick.
Savigny seems to be okay. He's tired, but he's not in trouble. He doesn't have cobwebs.
I tell you what, we talked about Richard Hall wanting some meat. He might have a slice in front of him right now. It looks like Savigny is going to make it to the end of this round, but he has taken some big punishment in this round.
Big round for the Destroyer. We'll be going to a break on the United Fight Alliance Network. Don't go anywhere.
Here we go with some replay action.
Yeah, Hall clearly winning the 5th round, climbing his way back into this fight all of a sudden. I've got it 49-47 Savigny. As you see, Hall starting to lay into Savigny. And with every punch that connected, Bob, he got more and more confidence. And here comes the Wolf. He heard him right there, and he wants his meat.
Also notice some blood on the face of Savigny. May have come from a cut. Perhaps from under the eye. You can see some swelling now on the face of Humberto Savigny on the right side of his face. That could prove telling as we move into the later rounds of this fight. Round 6 scheduled for 10 for the WBA Fed Latino Championship. Richard Hall, boy, I tell you, if anybody thought he was past his prime, you can forget about that. He has taken shots early and has come back, and in that last round, he had Savigny in some big trouble.
Richard Hall at 40 years old, taking a round handily from El Don. Humberto Savigny losing a round, now taking Hall much more seriously than perhaps he may have in the first 3 or 4 rounds. Again, another, if Savigny survives, another great test for the Dominican fighters. I'm sorry for the Cuban fighter.
Savigny, a big puncher, but he's going to have to land something really big to take the play away from Richard Hall, because right now, Richard Hall feeling all the confidence. He's the one in control. Now here comes Savigny with a combination, and Richard Hall standing right there and answering right back.
Beautiful exchanges out of these super middleweights. What a great matchup here in Miami, Florida. I'll tell you something. This is got to be fight of the night so far.
Well, I'll tell you what, Richard Hall is obviously showing that he's not going to be taken down easily. Savigny is going to have to reach deep down to get a knockout win in this bout. He's answered back, though. I got to give him some credit. Savigny letting his hands go better in this round, seems to have a little bit more command in his legs. But again, there's that leaping he does when he tries to throw that right hand. A little bit of blood now under the nose of Humberto Savigny.
That right hand resembles the Superman punch. It's sort of like you're throwing it from way outside. And he likes it.
Richard Hall with the fight right in the middle of the ring. That's where he likes it, where he can throw that long right jab and come across with the straight left. Both men boxing in the middle of the ring at this point. Neither man really able to take control of this sixth round. Down under a minute, down to 45 seconds to go. Big left hook that time by Savigny, and now Hall taking some punishment. Humberto Savigny starting to let his hands go. Another left and another right. Humberto Savigny taking control late in this round. Back, oh, big left hook, and down goes Richard Hall. Richard Hall trying to beat the count. He's got 16 seconds to make it through this round. Frank Santori gives him the mandatory 8. Santori will let it continue. Under 10 seconds to go. Can he finish? Humberto Savigny will step in, lets the right hand go, and Frank Santori Jr. waves it off. It's all over. What Santori fight. What a comeback from Humberto Savigny, who was hurt, had his legs taken away from him. Richard Hall was in command, and then all of a sudden, Humberto Savigny answered when he needed to.
Well, it was just a great battle. This was easily the biggest test for Eldon in his fighting career as he moves to 10-1. He was in massive trouble in the fifth round, and he had to have a major gut check, Bob Alexander. As you can see right there, they know that was the gut check of his career. He had to come back, somehow shake off the cobwebs and pull a rabbit out of the hat. That's exactly what he did in the closing seconds of the sixth round.
All right, we're going to take a look at the replay here, get a shot of that knockdown, that huge left hook that finally put Richard Hall down.
You can see the exchange here. Who was going to take the sixth round? And here's where Savigny just finally started letting his hands go. Found his rhythm, dug down.
There it is.
Sets
left
up.
Hook.
Yeah, that set him up. He had the left hook in the bank. He had already tagged him with it early in the round. He knew it was there if he needed it.
Bang.
That was the one.
Right on the chin. That is as pretty a left hook as you're going to see thrown in the sport of boxing. It was short, it was compact, and there you see Hall going down to the canvas with only seconds left in the round. Frank Santori Jr. had seen enough. If there's ever a chance to err in the sport of boxing, you err on the side of caution, and I think Frank Santori did exactly what he felt he had to do there.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, when he came back out, all really Savigny had to do was kind of blow on him. Just give him a little wind and send him through the ropes.
Tremendous comeback by Humberto Savigny. You can see, you look at his face, Jay, he has a huge welt on the right side of his jaw from taking those punches, those straight left hands from Richard Hall. So you got to give credit to Humberto Savigny, who showed that it was going to be a comeback, the way he was able to fight through, come through the punches, and get himself a huge knockout win. Humberto Savigny will move his record to 9 wins, 1 loss. He's got 7 wins by way of knockout. And how about a game performance by the former champion, Richard Destroyer Hall. Let's go up for the official particulars. Here's ring announcer Mike Adams.
2:47 of the sixth round. Referee Frank Santori Jr. calls a halt to this bout. El ganador por técnico knockout. The winner by technical knockout. And the new light heavyweight WBA Fed Latino champion, ladies and gentlemen, Humberto Savigne!
Humberto Savigne getting presented that WBA Fed Latino Championship belt, and he sure earned it the hard way. He was in some serious trouble earlier in this bout. Both very proud, very classy young men. Richard Hall, of course, believing right there as he was going down that he actually slipped, but he was severely hurt at the time, and referee Frank Santori Jr. did what he thought was the best thing for the health of Richard Hall. Stopped the bout, and your winner at 2 minutes 47 seconds of round number 6 is the new WBA Fed Latino light heavyweight champion, Humberto Savigne. We've got more great boxing action coming up. We'll be back after this.